My, that sure looks tasty. What the hell is it? It looks like a stomach or something. Check out that membrane. My, that... It's the subroutine program disc the doctor gave you to be able to navigate through Stellar's body. This is the shuttle's cockpit. You pinch yourself to make... You don't have to wear your helmet out there.
Oh, that looks real nice.
You're treading on the fundus, a broad expanse of tissue covering the outside of the stomach. For some reason, doing so gives you the feeling of being a one-man army. After all, an army does travel on its stomach. You recognize that festering, infected crevice. As if Stellar didn't already have enough to worry about, she's got an ulcer. And it's not just an ulcer, it's puckered. It's a peptic ulcer. It's alveoli, but it reminds you of spaghetti. Your stolen miniaturized shuttle has become mired on the fundus of the stomach like a beached whale. Wow, that's some interesting-looking stuff you've got collected in the engine intake. Looks like a small collection of blood capillaries. Red light. This is not good. Apparently some or all of the intermix element in Fuel Tank 3 was disgorged during your heinous venous joyride. That's not all that was disgorged, but we'll skip the details. Your stolen miniature... You're treading on the...
Okay, I've changed my mind about doing this. Is it too late? Can I still back out gracefully?
But as soon as the words spring gazelle-like from your lips, you regret them. You're here to do a job. You're here to save Corman Stellar Santiago from a fate worse than death. As if having you inside her wouldn't already be considered such a thing.
That's right. I'm Roger Wilco, dammit. Man of action. Savior of the galaxy. A man trapped in the body of a woman. Wait, that didn't come out right. I don't know what that big round thing is. I'm a janitor, dammit, not a doctor.
This gaping wound is the result of gastric juices eating away at the lining of the stomach. which can happen as a result of excess stomach acid, reduced formation of the mucus which typically lines the stomach's inner wall, or other irritants. But this ulcer is special. Most ulcers aren't big enough to allow janitors to crawl through. You'll have to remember to tell her about it, if you're real lucky and actually survive. The inside of Stellar's tummy is slippery, mostly because of the mucus secreted by the stomach lining, and there are a few pockmarks here and there, but when push comes to shove, this is the most beautiful stomach you've ever been in. There's just this one thing. Those little robots are the nanites sent down to aid in taking over Stellar's body. They look like guard nanites. But then, for all you know, they could be ballerina nanites. The inside of Stellar's tummy, there's just this, but then for all... The inside of... There's... But then... The inside of Stellar's tummy is... There's just... But then... A cluster of stomach acid-shy nanites is lurking near the entrance to the duodenum. They know all the cool places to hang out. The inside of Stellar's tummy, there's just... But, the inside of... There's just... But then for... As do most computer game characters who find themselves in sequels of sequels, you stop the action to reflect on your past exploits. You realize you spent a lot of time looking at the contents of your own stomach. But this is the first time you've gotten such a good look at a pool of someone else's potential discharge. The pools are deceptively still and shallow. They look harmless, but they're seething with pepsin and hydrochloric acid, a chemical brew of protein-dissolving, bacteria-destroying glop strong enough to dissolve almost anything, especially organic life forms like yourself. Dang, these look tasty. Boy, that micro Prozac she inhaled slowed her systems down to a crawl. These things haven't been touched by stomach acid yet. How odd. A bent staple. And thus far it has resisted being dissolved by the stomach's acids, probably because of its location and Stellar's apparent lack of oral nourishment during her captivity. The acid probably hasn't risen high enough since this item found its way in here. What in the hell was she doing eating a staple anyway? Maybe it was some fad diet thing in the Galactic Inquirer. Loosely woven into the stomach lining is a piece of celery string. That stuff could be used to make steel-belted radial tires stronger. Rumor has it that it was the original inspiration for dental floss. I think I saw that on one of those James Burke shows. A feather? When, rather, if you get the chance, you'll have to quiz Stellar about her dietary habits. You acquire a candy. You're the first one on your block to actually possess someone else's alveoli. It's a piece of that stringy stuff from celery. These are the candies you retrieve from Stellar's stomach. It's a piece of staple. You've got to wonder what was on the menu for Stellar's last meal. It's the bundle of capillaries you appropriated from Stellar. It's one of those ticklish pin feather things. You poke it and prod it. Interesting. The acid rises, but just not quite high enough to submerge those nanites. That's your makeshift grappling hook. Nice shot! A large hunk of twinkoid cake food product is hanging just below her epiglottis. It appears to have gotten jammed on the way to her stomach for digestion. Doesn't this woman chew? This is the lower part of the esophagus. Just below this is the stomach. Check out the lungs on this girl. You don't get an opportunity like this every day. What's the matter? Haven't you ever seen an esophagus before? These are the trachea and bronchi. That's where the lungs hook in. Those appear to be the aorta and the vena cava. Who knew this was going to be so much fun? At least I think that's what they are. I've never been much of an artery man myself. Those appear to be the aorta. At least I think. This is the upper part of the esophagus. The larynx branches off from here, winding its way down to the bronchi and the lungs. Looking above, you see some sort of medical equipment blocking the way to the mouth. Looks like that's not an option for an escape route. What's the matter? What's the matter? It's one of those tiny timed release pills. As I recall, these are designed to not melt down and release their medicines until they've gotten to an area past the stomach. What's the matter? Don't touch that. It probably seemed like as cool as it would be. An interesting idea. What are you up to, Roger? It's one of those Once the gastric juices partially digest the stomach's contents into a semi-fluid mass called chyme, the clumps of slurry trickle into this drainage hole. It leads to the duodenum, the beginning of the small intestine. The duodenum also happens to be one darn fine organ. That's the pylorus. That muscle has the final say over who makes it out of the stomach and into the duodenum. This is the upper area of the duodenum. Matter preprocessed from the stomach enters here through the pylorus above. It has a lovely bile-colored decor, and for a very good reason. This is the area in which raw processed ingestibles are mixed with a variety of secretions for further breakdown. That's just some of the interesting flora of the digestive system. Ah, the old ampulla of Vater, surrounded by the sphincter of Adi. Didn't you always wonder what it looked like? The bile slick seems to be a little fresher there. This looks like the center section of the duodenum. It has that same lovely bile green brilliance.
Wow, this is a tight fit. I think things are supposed to go out, not in.
Welcome to the heart of the bile belt. This is indeed Spew Central. At this location, secretions from the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas merge to form a duodenal delight, guaranteed to break down almost anything the stomach doesn't. The common bile duct runs up from here. That's the top part of the head of Steller's pancreas. An odd feeling passes through you just being amongst Steller's organs. That's the top part of the head of Steller's pancreas. An odd feeling passes through you just being amongst Steller's organs. This is the main pancreatic duct. It appears that there's some blockage toward the tail of the pancreas. It definitely gets a bit snug. Seems to be a buildup of cholesterol arterial plaque. This is the main pancreatic. It hurts your eyes to look at that. In fact, you feel a major headache coming on. That bores me so.
Yeah, this is way too snug. This blockage needs to be cleared. Steller's going to have to change her diet.
That is, if she can face life after having you inside her. Don't take it back out. It's all fine where it is. A nice pool of pancreatic secretions made up of insulin and glucagon fill the bottom of the islands of Langerhans. And here we have the islands of Langerhans. they're a big deal here in the pancreas. Apparently, they play an important part in introducing hormones to the blood system, as well as adding an enzyme which, when joined with the bile secretion from the gallbladder, forms some kind of spew that breaks down stuff the stomach acids don't, fats, and that kind of thing. Not only that, but some cells release insulin and others release glucagon to counter the insulin. It even offers up a bicarbonate to counteract the stomach's acid. All in all, it's a pretty strange and busy organ.
It just looks like a uvula warehouse to me.
As cool as it would be to... You maneuver your helmet beneath the drip and manage to snag a nice little dollop of the stuff. Drops of pancreatic enzymes drip from the overhanging cell units. No tour of the duodenum would be complete without this unique outside view. This is the cystic duct. You are quite near where the gallbladder becomes part of the bile parade. You look at it, but a large gallstone hangs above the entrance to the gallbladder. Wow, check out all that bile. Looks like her liver's been doing just fine. That's a pool of bile any liver would be proud of. You sure can't speak highly of its aroma. If I'm not mistaken, and I seldom am, that's the mucosa, or inner lining of the gallbladder. It helps make the bile even more vile by absorbing spare water content. Here before you in all its magnificence is the gallbladder. Wasn't this worth the trip? You cleverly tape the capillaries together. All the little capillaries you collected are nicely attached together with duct tape. All the little... Nice work! You've hooked up your makeshift hose to the pump. In this galaxy, you chuck one of the taped capillaries over the muscular ledge. It drops into the pool. You give the pump a stroke or two, and in the process gather a nice helmet load of bile. I guess congratulations are in order. You've got plenty of that stuff, or did you want to take some home to Mom? You've got plenty. The gallstone is wedged in the bile duct, and that's just a fine place for it. Nice gallstone collection. You don't need any more stones, at least not that kind. Those are the gallstones you collected as souvenirs from Stellar's common bile duct. It looks vaguely like your hiney after it's been chewed out by your boss. It's one of those tiny timed release pills. You now own one of those tiny timed release pills. It's one of those neat little This is the place where the duodenum meets the small intestine. The mixture of food, acids, bile, and enzymes move on from here and pass over the villi, where nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream. It's a fascinating place, wouldn't you say? This is the very bottom of our old friend, the duodenum. You can see the beginning of the jejunum. The villi start here. They increase the surface area of the small intestine a great deal, giving more area to absorb nutrients. All in all, it just looks like a French tickler turned inside out to me.
A what?
Never mind, it's not important. Great Scott, that certainly is one buff parasite.
I think I'm gonna spew. But who'll notice? Man, that thing is ugly.
It's a tapeworm. He seems to be lazily grazing in the valley of the villi. It's a tapeworm. It's a tape... Impressive. The tapeworm suddenly becomes much more animated. The tapeworm is a little wired, thanks to you. He looks like he has plenty of energy. Please remember to keep your arms and legs on the worm at all times. Yow! Now that's a ride you won't take in the Magic Kingdom. That's your vermiform friend who, with a little help from organic and pharmaceutical resources, was kind enough to give you that ride along the approximately 6.5 meters or so of small intestine that lies between here and the duodenum. That's your Egads, man, just how low have we sunk? All the way to the junction of the large and small intestines, that's how low. This also happens to be the home of the appendix. This is the appendix. It's a strange piece of the humanoid anatomy considered by some medical types to be fairly useless. It may not be useful, but it does seem to collect some strange stuff. Talk about hard currency, the Buckazoid has proven itself once again. This is even one of the old-style ones. Might be worth some money. Too bad you can't carry it. How does she get this stuff into her digestive system? That's a screw Stellar probably doesn't remember. It's a fingernail, complete with paint. These have a knack for making it down here. Suddenly, you wonder when Stellar grew such long nails. Perhaps you haven't been thinking of Stellar as a woman as much as a crewmate. You feel an interesting longing. One look at your surroundings kills that feeling fast. But maybe after this is all over. This seems to be a sludge of rather heavy and not so digestible items. Sludge reminds you of your old nemesis. Well, you finished him off, but he still causes you to change your clothing more than the average person. It's a relatively unscathed paperclip. It looks like an old silver amalgam filling. Must have been bouncing around here for years. You pull away a cracked piece of the filling. You carefully, very carefully, stow the paper clip in your pocket. You snap off a shard of fingernail and gingerly introduce it into your pocket.
No, I think I've already done things above and beyond the call of duty. Hey, a guy has to draw the line somewhere, and gosh darn it, this guy's drawn the line right at the colon.
You've never even met her mother.
Yeah.
So you like the worm, huh? You like to ride the worm, huh? I let you ride the worm. It's a broken fingernail tip you scavenged from Stellar's appendix. It's a paperclip from Stellar's appendix. You're definitely going to have to talk to Stellar about her eating habits. That is, if you make it out of here. It's a chunk of silver tooth filling you found in Stellar's appendix. Boy, wouldn't it be as cool as... Although the concept of rubbing silver particles all over the shuttle is interesting, perhaps putting it in the fuel tank behind the blinking red light would be more effective.
This heat tile looks loose. Whoops. I have to stop doing that.
You neatly replace the EVA suit in its proper place.
Perhaps I'd get farther if I kept the subroutine disc in its slot.
Yipes! So this is the old gray matter, huh? What a mess!